era pipeline networks that took Russia's hydrocarbon resources to market in Europe. The Brotherhood network through Ukraine and the Northern Lights network through Belarus. Belarus remained an effective puppet state of the Kremlin, and so the Northern Lights network wasn't very troubling. But Ukraine was very different. As late as 2005, 80% of Russia's oil and gas exports to Europe were still all concentrated through the Brotherhood network across Ukraine, because that network simply had the highest capacity at the time. None of this mattered when Ukraine and Russia were all part of the same country, but now that they weren't, it mattered up. In the eyes of Moscow, Ukraine was becoming an unreliable bridge for their pipelines to Europe, and alternative routes began to be constructed, like Yamal through Belarus and Poland, Turk Stream and Blue Stream beneath the Black Sea directly to Turkey, and most controversially of all, Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2 at the costs of $10 and $11 billion each, respectively, beneath the Baltic Sea, feeding directly to Germany, Russia's single largest oil and gas customer, and Germany was only increasing their dependence. In 2011, after a tsunami struck the Fukushima nuclear power plant in Japan and sparked the world's biggest nuclear disaster since Chernobyl, the German government took the decision to gradually phase out all 17 of their own nuclear reactors that, in 2011, produced a quarter of Germany's entire electricity. The final 3 were theoretically scheduled to come offline at the end of 2022. And to make up the difference, Germany began importing even more gas from Russia, increasing the value of Moscow's leverage over them. By 2010, the Ukrainian president was no longer the pro-Western Viktor Yushchenko, but the pro-Russian Viktor Yanukovych. And this was important, because huge discoveries were just being made at the time by various energy companies that suddenly showed Ukraine had proven natural gas reserves of 1.1 trillion cubic meters, and they could potentially be as high as 5.4 trillion cubic meters, largely focused in rich geological deposits around offshore Crimea, the Sea of Azov, the Western Carpathians, and the Dnieper-Donetsk rift in the northeast, where more than 80% of those 1.1 trillion cubic meters worth of proven reserves were located. These discoveries in the